Tonight, for the first time in his 40-year career, a lawyer is rejecting a victim impact statement. It's from an inmate who had his teeth pulled by a prison guard. That story, and a Corner Brook student is taken to hospital. 2 of his peers are charged with assault.
We have been without water since January 25th. There are children and seniors here. It's a health risk.
More than a week without water, that West Coast resident wants the province to declare a state of emergency.
It's been a few weeks since hockey's been on the go here at the Mary Brown Centre, but the Newfoundland Growlers are back. We're also down here. We're going to talk about their return. A lot more coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin with news from the courts. The family of Jonathan Collins gave emotional statements in court today. Collins was murdered in 2017. Lawyers are now arguing over how long convicted murderer Craig Pope should be in jail before he can apply for parole. Here and Now's Elizabeth Whitten reports.
Craig Pope entered the Supreme Courtroom to hear the Crown and defense argue how long it should be before he can apply for parole. Earlier today, the court heard from Collins' family, who spoke about the grief they felt over his violent killing and how the public court process has affected them. Collins' mother, Yvonne Noseworthy, told the court she wasn't able to see her son's body for a week after the stabbing because it was a crime scene and his body was evidence. She called that unacceptable and cruel. The victim's father, David Collins, died earlier this summer, and his statement was read by his daughter. All family members spoke about the emotional and physical anguish over Collins' murder. A second-degree murder charge comes with a life sentence with no chance of parole for at least 10 years. Crown lawyer Sean Patton is arguing the judge should settle on 12 years before Pope can apply for parole, citing, among other things, criminal history, issues with drugs, and circumstances around the incident. Mark Grushi, the defense lawyer, is arguing that it should be a minimum of 10 or 11 years. He said the murder was brief, fast, and one stab. The judge will give his decision on February 29th. Elizabeth Whitten, CBC News, St. John's.
On to the West Coast now. Sentencing submissions in the case against the oral surgeon who pleaded guilty to assault hit an unexpected snag today. Dr. Louis Bourget was charged after he allowed a correctional officer to extract an inmate's tooth back in 2020. The incident was recorded by another correctional officer. Here Now's Troy Turner brings us this update.
Sentencing submissions began today in Gander Supreme Court, but were stopped when defense attorney Randy Piercy challenged the victim impact statement. Victim impact statements are written or oral submissions in court that describe how the victim of the crime was affected by the incident, either through physical or emotional harm, property damage, or financial loss. Rarely are they challenged. It's a rare move in an assault trial that, in and of itself, is out of the ordinary. The dentist, Dr. Louis Bourget, let a prison guard remove a sedated inmate's teeth back in the fall of 2020, while another guard watched and recorded. Bourget has pleaded guilty, but his lawyer, Randy Piercy, objected today. He said, and I quote, "I can't accept that. In 40 years, I've never objected to a victim impact. I have to object to this." No other details were given. The statement filed by victim Blair Harris, the inmate whose teeth were pulled, was a written submission and not read in court today. Crown attorney Tina Walsh is now going to meet with Harris to see if the issue can be resolved. Bourget is expected back in court early next month. Correctional officer Ron McDonald, the person who pulled the teeth, also pleaded guilty to assault. He was not in court today. His sentencing submissions have been set over until June. Charges against Roy Goodyear, the third person involved, the man who recorded the whole incident, have been dropped. Troy Turner, CBC News, Gander.
Well, 2 youth are facing assault charges after an incident inside a Corner Brook school. It happened yesterday morning at Corner Brook Intermediate. The RNC say a 14-year-old boy was injured and had to be taken to hospital. Officers charged a 15-year-old male with assault, causing bodily harm, and also charged a 14-year-old female with assault.
This is a violent event. You know, we talk a lot about what goes on in our schools in terms of bullying and trying to eliminate bullying, but this is not bullying. This is, a violent act and a criminal offense.
Well, the province is considering changes to the Highway Traffic Act to improve the safety of young children learning to ride a bike. This comes on the heels of a report from the Child Death Review Committee, which investigates the circumstances surrounding a fatality. The committee recommended introducing supervision requirements for young children who are learning to ride a bicycle. It also recommends allowing children to ride a bike on the sidewalk until they have the skills to ride on the road with traffic. Residents in a local service district on the island's west coast are calling for a state of emergency. Barachois Brook has been without water for more than a week. Water is being distributed with the help from local fire department and an Indigenous nonprofit, but this resident says it's still not enough.
We have been without water since January 25th, about 8 days now. Well, it's very hard. I'm a single mom. I work every morning in Stephenville. I have to be there for 8:30. She gets the bus at 8. So we hit the ground running at 6, but now we've been having to get up at 5 to boil water, to make sure I have clean water, to do the dishes, brush your teeth, bathe. Laundry has been very difficult. Thankfully I go to my parents to do laundry, but not everybody has that option. It takes about 10 liters to flush the toilet, so I'm going through water very fast. And to fill a tub, I can't imagine. I haven't been able doing that. I've been going up to my parents. I have one 20-liter bucket and about 3 other 15-liter buckets. So we're getting those filled right now from friends and family. Those who don't have any friends or family or transportation issues, the fire department and local service district is helping distribute it to them. Up till Monday, nothing was being done. Not many other neighboring communities knew about it until I decided that I should try and come up with a plan to help out, because I work at the People of the Dawn Indigenous Friendship Center, a local nonprofit organization who has some means to help. So my boss gave me the okay to use our company cargo van and to reach out to businesses to get buckets. So we were able to go to the community center. Our local service district manager has that open from 9 to 5 and is helping to distribute the water, and our local St. George's Fire Department was able to fill up the buckets for us. Right now I just want to get the news out that we are without running water and that there are children and seniors here, and it's a health risk, and we just want that state of emergency declared so we're not having to depend on other people.
Well, certainly another chilly morning this morning up across Labrador into the -20s, -30s for the west. But if we take a look at the temperatures across the island, milder than they have been for the past couple of days, only bottomed out at about -4 in St. John's today. And you head towards the northern peninsula, though, different story into the -20s. So we've got a couple of features on the weather map today. We've got a stationary front that is already prompting some flurries and light snow for parts of the west coast. And then we've got this area of low pressure to the south. That is what is going to be responsible for the weather tomorrow, through the weekend, and into early next week. We really will see effects of this into Wednesday at this point. And Environment Canada has issued a couple of weather statements. So I've kind of color-coded them there for you just to let you know what's happening. So mainly snow for all of you in the special weather statement that is gray, but we will likely see some rain in the mix for the northern portion of the Avalon and parts of eastern Newfoundland. I'll break it all down for you when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, teachers in the province have a new collective agreement. They'll receive an annual 2% wage increase for the next 4 years and a one-time bonus of $2,000. The deal covers more than 6,000 teachers across the province. It also includes improved benefits for teachers working in isolated schools, easier access to sick leave for substitute teachers, and an additional day to prepare report cards. Well, the province's arts community has lost another giant. Kevin Lewis was not only an actor and director, he was also a celebrated educator. He taught drama for years and instilled a love of theater with generations of students such as Mark Critch and also his colleagues, including Clara Doyle. Both of them spoke with CBC's On the Go about their friend's life and legacy.
My first encounter with Kevin Lewis when we were in high school at St. Bon's. And as some of you would know, there was a skating rink, hockey rink out behind the school at the time called the Forum. And that shagger knocked out my front teeth. And he never apologized. I brought it up to him as recently as a month ago. He never apologized.
I think that this world of community theater as well, with you know, we had all these wonderful people like Clara and Kevin, and you'd see them and their absolute love. They'd work all day and then they'd spend their evenings building sets, directing shows, rehearsing them, coming together, and just the amount of work they'd put into it, how seriously they take it, and the level of professionalism that went into these so-called amateur productions. It was certainly something to aspire to, and it gave me the work ethic that I have today, you know, and his care that he had for people. If you were in his life, I mean, he was your number one cheerleader, and he had, you know, a lot of tough times in his life. He lost 3 sons and a wife to pulmonary fibrosis. And I remember when we were in the high school drama festival doing a show called Waiting for the Bus, and Kevin was waiting. His dear wife, Peg, was about to pass. And we never expected him to come down to the hall to see us compete. And he showed up in the dressing room, and I was like, "Mr. Lewis, what are you doing here?" And he said, "I have a beeper on in case anything happens. I'm leaving for 1 hour to make sure you see the show and see how you do." And I remember doing that show and just giving everything I could, but listening for this beeper to go off. And then we ended up winning. And then he was like, "Well done," and he left. But just in going through that moment, to still, in his life, and then to still take the time to show his support for these kids down at the Elfview Hall, that's something I'll remember the rest of my life.
Kevin's dedication. I know lots of times if we were doing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or Death of a Salesman or whatever, Kevin would not be found. Let's say the show was starting at 8 o'clock. You would not see Kevin around chatting and milling and trying on his makeup. He'd be off in a corner somewhere, Anthony, getting inside that character. And if the show ran for 7 days, he did it for 7 days. It was that type of dedication that Mark was indicating about him. And just by modeling, he shared that. Right, Mark?
Oh my gosh! I mean, well, there was such a standard that he gave, and he would do, you know, what he would normally do in the preparation and the, as you say, hours before a show, getting into character. You had no other choice but to try and get to his level, because you could see the effect it had in the performance. He was brilliant when he went out there, but you know, he raised everyone to that level or close to it. And you know, those skills, once you have them, they'll stay with you for life.
Well, now to some sports news. After a couple of weeks on the road, the Newfoundland Growlers are back on the ice at the Mary Brown Centre. Tonight, the Growlers find themselves holding on to the last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. Jeremy Eaton is at the stadium right now. So, Jeremy, I understand you got to take in some of this morning's practice.
I did get to take in some of this morning's practice, but Carrie, first, before we get into that, the big thing about these games down here, the Growlers, is community, and these are a number of young soccer players from Portugal Cove, St. Philip's. Jackson, really quick, who are you?
My name is Jackson Wells, and we are selling some pucks for the Spurs Association.
What is the Spurs Association, really quickly?
The Portugal Cove Minor Soccer Association.
And you buy a puck, and what do you do with the puck when you get it, Jackson?
You chuck it in the middle, and whoever gets closest to the middle wins.
Perfect. Jackson, appreciate all your time. So, Carolyn, that's one of the many groups who come down to these games, and they use this little fundraiser for their own organization. A lot of tickets sold for the game tonight. But in order to play in games, you got to practice first. So earlier today, videographer Danny Arsenal and I stopped by practice, and for the first time, I believe ever, we threw a drone up at the end of practice. Take a look at this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what the product that we're going to put on the ice tonight. Like, we've really worked hard to get back to our game pre-Christmas, and I feel like the last 3 or 4 games we've gone out and put our best foot forward. The result hasn't always been there, but we've played the right way. With the timing of how everything came together, where our roster was at the beginning of the season, kind of the changeover that we've had, I'm excited about where we're at. I'm excited about the path that we're on. We have a great group in here. They work their butt off, and there's a lot of skill with the players that we have. So just think that, as they've become familiar with me and me with them, we look to do some damage here in the second half.
We had some good stretches, and then we had a real tough stretch there. It was a tough time. We had some injuries and we had some call-ups, but now we got through all that, so it should be everyone in the lineup tonight, so it should be pretty good. We haven't played this team, I don't think, in 4 or 5 years, so it'll be new, which is always exciting to play someone new. They got a good record, so it should be a good test for us.
As a coach, you have a job either way, and if you've clinched early, you have a job of managing, making sure there's effort and consistency, and that come playoff time you're ready to go. And then when you clinch later, you've played intense playoff style games all the way down the stretch, and so when playoffs come, you're just trying to make sure that you continue with that competitive edge.
Well, it's awesome. I get a lot of family and friends that come out, and then you get a lot of schools, and the teams do a nice job of selling tickets to schools and private events and stuff. So I think we had Scout night here one night. It's been great, and obviously more fans. We feed off that energy. It's hard to play sometimes when it's not many here, but it's been the best year the best year yet.
So as Jordy was saying, this has been the best year yet. There are a lot of fans, a lot of tickets have been sold this weekend, but I don't think we can come to a Growlers game without saying hi to our good buddy, Evan Purcell. Evan, AKA the Money Man. Evan, you got 30 seconds. What's your take on the Growlers game tonight against the Indy Fuel?
Okay, well, I think we're going to win 4-2. Sellers is going to score a goal, Todd's going to score 2 goals, and Cappy's going to score the other goal. And I also want to give a shout out to Carolyn in the studio. Keep up the amazing work that you do. We all love you. Keep it up. And also, go Growlers, go, baby! Let's go!
Attaboy. Wouldn't be a live hit down here at Mary Brown Center without seeing Evan the Money Man. So big game tonight. We're about 24 minutes away from the puck drop with the Indy Fuel, one of a team that has never been here before as far as we know, and there's other teams coming, but we're going to talk about that later on in the show. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Jeremy Eaton at the Mary Brown Center.
Always love Evan's enthusiasm. Well, have you ever wondered how the Mary Brown Center makes the move from hockey rink to hardwood and then back again? Well, here is how it's done. We'll have more from the St. John's Stadium coming up a little bit later.
Some of us are going to see a long duration snow event through the weekend and into early next week. Some of us are going to see some rain in the mix. I'll get into all the details when I come back. Well, temperatures today sitting a little bit above where we should be sitting this time of year across most of the island, but Labrador temperatures into the minus teens. That's typically where you should be sitting. But we do have a couple of areas, or at least one area of low pressure with the flurries already making their way across eastern or western portions of the island thanks to a stationary front. But yes, that weather maker is going to be, that area of low pressure rather, is going to be our weather maker as we head through the next couple of days. There's a look at some of the snow on the west coast. This will generally continue mainly to the south, but this will generally continue as we head through the night tonight. We'll likely see it taper off through midnight, but then move back in as we get towards the early morning hours. And again, mainly for the southwestern portion of the island. Other than that, there's not a whole lot going on. Maybe a few flurries for the eastern portion of the island, but our temperatures are going to sit into the minus single digits, minus teens to the north, northern peninsula, and then up across Labrador. Another chilly night. Not as cold as it has been, especially in the west, but still definitely cold, minus 30 for Lab City, with generally clear skies for the most part. Now, as we head into tomorrow, we're looking at that flurry activity again, probably just to the south. It will all depend on ultimately where that area of low pressure sets up just south of Nova Scotia, which is what I have been talking about for most of the week. But at this point, most of the activity on Saturday should be confined to the southwest and then creeping north as we head into the evening hours on Saturday. Not a whole lot happening up across Labrador. You should actually see some sunshine, but yes, that snow will continue and then get heavier as we head into Sunday morning, it looks like at this point. Temperatures tomorrow into the minus single digits for most, at least through the first half of the day. Northeasterlies will be gusting anywhere from 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, a little less than that towards the west, but your temperatures will be below zero. And then minus teens, the story up across the northern peninsula and into Labrador. Like I said, some sunshine, but your temperatures will be sitting into the minus teens for your Saturday. So definitely not a bad day for you. Now let's take a look at what's going to happen. Again, still lots of disagreement, but getting a better idea at least through the weekend of what's going to happen. So there's that snow I was talking about. As we head into Monday, Sunday night, we will likely see some snow develop for the eastern portion of the island. The western half of the island will be seeing snow off and on right through the weekend, like I said. But some of this could be heavy at times through the overnight by the time we get into Monday morning. Indications, most indicating that we will see a transition through to rain, at least for the Avalon, but how far west? Does that include Bonavista? Does that include Clairville? That could change. And again, this is still pretty early. We're talking about the Monday time frame. This is also, though, when we are going to see the winds pick up across central and western portions of the island. Really Sunday night into Monday is when we'll see those winds gusting. So that combined with some of the snow, this will be when we see kind of the worst of the conditions across western portions of the island. Now, as we head into Tuesday, there's some pretty good indications that we will see some heavy snow for Bonavista and potentially the northern Avalon. So this is when we could see some accumulating snow when, let's say, the worst of the snow will happen for the eastern areas. Again, that is next week, so this could change, but that is definitely just a heads up. Those of you through Central will eventually see that end by the time we get into the Tuesday timeframe. Now, how much snow are we talking about? This is a broad statement, I understand that, but we are looking at about 20 to 40 centimeters of snow, maybe even a little bit more through Monday. And that will be those areas in the pink there, or purple. If you head towards Clarenville, Bonavista, and the northern Avalon, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow possible Sunday night. That will change over to rain by Monday. We could pick up 20 to 30 millimeters and then back over to snow in the Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe. We could be talking about 20 to 30 centimeters of snow. So if you have any travel plans, keep an eye on the forecast for next week. To the south, 5 to 15 centimeters is likely by Sunday. I'll get into the rest of the forecast when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. We're going to head back down to the Mary Brown Center now. We're about 35 minutes away from the puck drop, and tonight the Growlers are squaring off against the Indy Fuel, and they can expect to see a few more teams at the stadium this season. So let's check back in with Here Now's Jeremy Eaton. So Jeremy, much of a crowd down there tonight?
Well, Carolyn, there certainly is a buzz down here. There's a lot of people, a lot of fans are showing up, like you said, 35 minutes before the puck even drops. Now, the Indy Fuel have never been here before, and they're the first of a couple of teams. Now, to talk a bit more about this is the Growlers' Ken O'Leary. Ken, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
So last year, from what I understand, Trois Rivières came a few times and played. This year, we're going to see different teams like Indy. Like, who else can the fans expect to see over the next couple of weeks?
Well, this is the first time for Indy, as you mentioned. Next week, we have probably the best team in the league joining us with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. You know, coming from South Carolina, it's going to be
the Greenville Swamp Rabbits? Sorry?
Yeah, minor league hockey, remember? The Swamp Rabbits. Okay. We are the Growlers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're coming from South Carolina. They're making a trip. They've been really nervous about coming here. There's a lot of travel. There's a few storms heading our way, but they're excited about it. And it's good for the fans, too, because we've seen a lot of teams in our division. These are going to be teams out of our division, and it's going to give us a good test.
Now, speaking of your division and the league in general, you're currently sitting in 8th place in the conference, so that's the final playoff spot, correct?
Yeah, and we're not really used to this. You know, the fans have been blessed, and we've been blessed with having a first-place team for 5 years. You know, we won a championship. This year we have a little bit fewer AHL contracts, so we have more ECHL guys, and it's more of a grind. Obviously, a first year for our coaching staff, first year for myself as head of hockey ops. So there's been a lot of learning, but I think it's exciting for us and the fans because these games really, really mean something. You know, when we clinch a playoff spot in early March, you know, it's kind of hard to come down and get energized for a game, but we're going to need all the points we can get down the stretch.
So speaking of that, all these games are more and more important. And as I said to Carolyn earlier, there's a buzz down here. Ken, how many tickets are we looking at? How many fans are we expecting to see over the weekend here?
Well, tonight we're going to have close to 4,000. We got a few hundred members of NAPE here tonight. Tomorrow is K-Rock night. We should be around 4,000 as well. And I think we're almost pushing a sellout for Sunday because we have Energy NL, which has always been a great partner of us over the past few years. So we're going to see a lot of people through Mary Brown Center this weekend, which is great for us and great for the economy.
Now, really quickly, because we're going to wrap up, how happy does that make you feel as the vice president of hockey ops to see all the people coming down here this weekend?
It's great. It's been a struggle ever since the pandemic. I know it's been a few years ago now, but I think we're really back to normal, and our sales team is firing all cylinders. It's amazing.
Perfect. There certainly is a buzz down here. Ken, always a pleasure. Appreciate your time. That's Ken O'Leary, Vice President of Hockey Operations at the Growlers. I'm Jeremy Eaton, reporting live for Here and Now from the Mary Brown Center in St. John's.
When you get back to the bench and your teammates are kind of celebrating and congratulating you, it hits you. But yeah, it was an awesome moment.
An awesome moment for sure, capturing Maggie Connors' first league goal. We're catching up with the hometown hockey star to talk about the new PWHL and facing off against Team USA. Well, Maggie Connors is set to make her senior national team debut for Canada in a rivalry series against the U.S. Game 5 of the series is set for Wednesday. The 24-year-old from St. John's is a forward for Toronto in the newly formed Professional Women's Hockey League, and she's the second youngest player in the league. One of her performance highlights so far, scoring this first career goal and assist against Montreal.
She scores! Maggie Connors has been waiting for her moment. And what a first PWHL goal for the pride of Newfoundland.
And Maggie Connors joins me now from Toronto. Thanks so much for being here.
Of course, thanks so much for having me.
Well, what a moment, Maggie. What was it like when you first scored that goal?
Yeah, obviously you have so many emotions kind of running through your head, especially, I came right off the bench and just kind of skated into the O-zone, and kind of the puck popped free from one of my teammates, Becca, who was kind of falling and was just able to pass it to me. And, I just saw a lane to the net and I shot it. And I think obviously props goes to Jessie and Renata Fast, who gave me 2 screens in front of the net. Obviously, when you're shooting against the best goalie in the world in Renee Desbiens, you have to find a way to score when it's just more than a shot. And when it's your first pro goal, obviously in the moment you kind of black out, you don't really think about that, but when you get back to the bench and your teammates are kind of celebrating and congratulating you, it hits you. But yeah, it was an awesome moment.
It's been a month since you played that historic first PWHL game, making you a professional hockey player. How does that feel? And did you ever think this day would come?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this past month has obviously felt like years almost. It's been so much fun, and there's been so much that's happened in the past month, and this league has really taken off. And I think obviously the sky's the limit. And I think when you're younger, you hope something like this will kind of come into fruition, but you're not quite sure if it will. And that's obviously why, people say they want to play in the NHL when they're younger and they're girls, and they don't necessarily say this, but I think now that's changed. And especially after January 1st and all the emotions and everything that went into that day, and you have young players that have retired, it means so much to everyone. So obviously to be a part of that day, it was awesome. But, now that I'm not quite sure, I thought of it when I was younger, if this was gonna happen. But now that it has, I think it's just great for young girls that they can say that they want to play in this league, and that's what makes it awesome.
For sure. And the cameras, they often pan to the seats, and we see the young girls in the stands in hockey jerseys cheering. What has it been like for you hearing from fans? What have they been saying to you?
Yeah, I mean, the support has been astronomical. It's been so nice. And, I try to thank people as much as I can for all the support, especially from Newfoundland. Like, I see it every day, people reaching out, people talking to my family members. It's been obviously amazing. And, fans, and you look in the stands and you see signs and things, and, fans are just like super excited. They're super excited to be there. They're super excited for the league. And I think more importantly, they're super excited that this exists so that they can maybe play in it one day. You look in the stands and it all says, future PWHL hockey player. And I think that's obviously, a huge part of why we play, and obviously kind of why we're trying to make this league take off, is because, again, you don't know where this is going to be in 15, 20 years, but those girls in the stands, I think, are going to be in the league. And so, there's been nothing but positive feedback so far.
I've heard people say that they're surprised by, the speed and the physicality of the games, that the women, they're not holding anything back. Do you feel that on the ice?
Yeah, totally. I've definitely taken some obviously huge shots, and obviously that's okay. I think I put myself in those positions sometime. Obviously, this is the first month of the league, and so no one truly could have told you what it would have been like, or everyone knew it was going to be fast. Everyone knew it was going to be physical, but I think the game that we've put on the table so far has exceeded those expectations. And I think obviously the physicality is just a part of the game, and obviously people want that to stay. And it's definitely a little bit of a change, college, that I feel like they called more penalties than they do here, and a little bit different style of hockey, but everyone's adjusting, and, it's just a few games into the season as of now. And so I think people are going to kind of learn how to play within that style. But I know obviously players love it so far, and it's definitely a fast game, but I think just as much as the players love it, the fans love it too. And I think that's most important, is that we're presenting an exciting game to the world.
And you've been selected to play in the upcoming Rivalries series. Can you talk about what that series is and why those games are different?
So 3 times throughout the year, there's what they call is a tire rivalry series. They did 2 games in November, 2 games in December, and now 3 in the beginning of February. So 7 games total, and it's just between the U.S. national team and the Canadian national team. They just go head-to-head, best of 7 game series, and they select a team for each of those series, somewhat similar. They kind of change out a few players depending on the team that they're looking for, and then in April is the World Championship. So it's obviously separate from the PWHL, but I'm pretty sure all the players on that team play in the PWHL, at least for this series. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I think anytime you get to wear the maple leaf, or anytime you get to represent your country, is a huge honor. And so to be selected to that, I take a lot of pride in it, and I'm really excited.
And I also want to ask you about men's hockey. Men's hockey has been dominating the headlines, and unfortunately it hasn't been good. There are sexual assault charges laid against several players, but I'm wondering if you think the rise of women's professional hockey, that push for inclusivity in the sport, do you think that could help change the culture in men's hockey?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of obviously can't speak to obviously what's going on the men's side of things for that Hockey Canada thing, but I know at least I can talk about kind of our league, and I think our league is obviously incredibly inclusive and in trying to push the boundaries, and trying to be obviously a great league that kind of represents obviously inclusivity.
Well, Maggie Connors, I really appreciate you speaking with us. It's lovely to talk to you. Your next game is this Saturday night against Minnesota. So good luck with that game and with the rivalry series. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
We have a story now about a St. John's man who gave up Mary Brown's for love. Yasser El-Tahan quit buying meals from his favorite fast food restaurant to support his wife's strict halal diet, until a recent discovery and a birthday surprise changed all of that. He sat down with the CBC's Mike Moore to explain.
Hi, my name is Yasser El-Tahan. We're at the University Center about to dig into some Big Marys there. Pretty excited.
Why?
Ooh, looks good.
Why is Mary Brown's, why does that have a special place in your life?
Mary Brown's has been a staple for me growing up. I grew up on Mary Brown's. So me and my dad and my brother, every week after Friday prayer, we'd go to Mary Brown's. Like, since I was 4 years old, we started that tradition. Mary Brown's for me, if we'd go to Marine Drive Park, go to have a beach day, we'd spin by Mary Brown's on the way and get a big family pack of chicken and taters for the beach. If my mom was working late and we were ordering fast food, Mary Brown's was the go-to. It's always kind of been, that comfort food for me growing up. Yeah.
And when did all of that change? What happened that, you just weren't definitively allowed to have Mary Brown's anymore?
So when I met my wife, she was very strict halal, only ate halal food. So for her, that was very important. So of course, for me, that was very important. But at the same time, if I was going to go only halal, that meant I could not eat Mary Brown's. I could not have fast food. And I mean, that's the ultimate sacrifice right there, not to be able to eat Mary Brown's. Going into that, if things are going to work out for us, that was no Mary Brown's for me for the rest of my life. So, that was a hard thing to swallow at that point.
And for those who don't know, can you explain what halal is?
Yeah, basically halal, the translation of it means lawful or prohibited, essentially. So when it comes to food, what it essentially means is that it was slaughtered in a humane way. It was raised in a humane way, slaughtered in a humane way. So it was slaughtered in a way that was very quick and painless for the animal. So there are sources of meat that you can get that are designated halal, but obviously in Newfoundland, and especially 6-7 years ago when me and my wife got married, those sources were very few and far between.
So let's fast forward to your birthday. What kind of news did you get?
Yeah, so a week before my birthday, me and my wife were out to dinner. And I guess she had just recently found out that the Mary Brown's here at the UC was halal. I had no idea. And she was very excited to tell me the news because, it had been over 6 years that I hadn't eaten Mary Brown's. And so she actually tried to record it, which was funny, and tried to do it on the slide, but didn't quite work out. She hit record, and then as soon as she put the phone down, it stopped recording.
I wanted to wait.
But yeah, she told me that the University Mary Brown's was halal, and at that time that was pretty big news. She said I started to cry. There's no evidence of that. Maybe my eyes welled up a little bit. I was a bit excited. But yeah, I was like, okay, we're going for my birthday. That's going to be my birthday lunch meal.
Right.
And a week later, it was me and her. My parents came, had a feed here, and to not have Mary Brown's in over 6 years, and all of a sudden for it to hit your mouth again, it was good.
This location speaks a lot to the community that it serves. A lot of international students at MUN. How important do you think it is to have not only Mary Brown's serving halal, but here in the UC?
Well, this is a hub. So I was a student here. If you want to eat, you have a few different options, right? And if there's no halal food, that's tough. Food is your fuel. That's what gets you through your day. If you're in classes all day long, you're going to be studying all night, and you need to be replenished. if you don't have any halal food options, that's tough. So, I mean, good on Mary Brown's to recognize that and to provide that to the students here.
Living off the land and passing on Indigenous knowledge to the younger generation. Watch The Gathering, Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Happy 55th anniversary to Patsy and Jerry Hall of Portugal Cove St. Philip's. Congratulations to Jim and Maud Delaney of St. John's, who are celebrating their 64th anniversary. Happy 52nd anniversary to Clara and Bob Pasha of Happy Valley Goose Bay. Wishing Mary and Norman Lilly of Ramia a happy 54th anniversary. Happy 60th anniversary to Mac and Elizabeth Sutton. They're from Lewisport and now live in Paris. Paradise. Best wishes to Linda and Walter McDonald of Burgeo, who are marking 57 years of marriage. Happy anniversary to Scott and Josephine Rowe of Seldom, Fogo Island. They're celebrating 55 years of marriage. Happy 50th anniversary to Gord and Ruth Marshfield of Greens Pond. Wishing Stan and Patricia Lundrigan of Bay Bulls a happy 55th anniversary. 50th wedding anniversary greetings going out to Eric and Gloria Dirtle of Bonavista. Congratulations to Bob and Sue King from the Burin Peninsula, now living in Wainwright, Alberta. They're also celebrating their 50th. Happy 63rd anniversary to Shirley and George Nichols of Deer Lake, but their happy place is Bon Bay Pond. Happy 55th anniversary to Norman and Mary George of Corner Brook. Wishing Lloyd and Joyce Bath of Twillingate a very happy 68th wedding anniversary today. Happy 58th anniversary to Wilfred and Vera Patey from River of Ponds. Congratulations to Paul and Beth McLean of Paradise, who are celebrating 53 years of marriage. Happy 51st anniversary to Randy and Donna Grushi of Mount Pearl. Best wishes to Junior and Shirley Gifford from Coley's Point on their 56th anniversary. Now to some birthdays. Happy 96th birthday to Randolph Whiteway of Bishop's Falls, now living in St. John's. Wishing Joan House of Kippens a happy 90th birthday. John Hart Sr. of St. John's is celebrating his 95th birthday. Birthday greetings going out to Raymond Pierce Foster of Burlington. He just turned 94. Wishing John Walsh a happy 93rd birthday today. John is a former CBC employee who worked on shows like Skipper and Company, Pigeons Inlet, and Wonderful Grand Band, as well as many others. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Estelle Way of Flowers Cove. She's celebrating her 90th birthday. Lily Tavner just celebrated a big birthday in Clarenville. She just turned 101. Happy 92nd birthday to George Rowe of Port Hope Simpson, Labrador. Happy birthday to Ralph Hicks. He's celebrating his 92nd birthday. 90th birthday greetings going out to Max Burt of St. John's. Happy birthday to Robert Party, who turns 92 today. He lives in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Happy 90th birthday to Thomas Loader of Buckins, now living in CBS. Wishing Alexander Call a happy 93rd birthday in Lewisport. Best wishes to Elizabeth Howell of Northern Bay, who's celebrating her 95th birthday, and Bertha Mercer of Bay Roberts just celebrated her 103rd birthday. She's a survivor of the Burin tidal wave of 1929. Hope you have a wonderful birthday. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again. And Ashley, it's going to be a pretty snowy weekend for parts of the island, right?
Yeah, normally the western portion of the island anyway. Let's get right into what we're looking at as we head into Saturday evening and then eventually into Sunday. This is when we're going to start to see some of the winds pick up. We'll see northeasterly winds gusting 60, 70, even 80 kilometers per hour. So those of you that are seeing the snow through Sunday, which will be heavy at times, are likely going to see reduced visibilities and blowing snow through a good chunk of the day. And eventually into the evening hours, we'll see that head a little bit further north towards the northern peninsula. And eventually some snow will start for the eastern portion of the island as well. Again, we could pick up in the metro area somewhere between 5 to 10 centimeters before that changes over to rain on Monday morning. Temperatures will be hovering around the 0 degree mark, maybe a little bit above. East, west, 0 to -2. Up across Labrador, hanging on to those minus teens and sunshine with the exception of some snow along the strait there. Now, as we head into Sunday evening and Monday, this is when we'll see that transition. It looks like at this point over to rain for at least the Avalon. We may see it towards the Burin Peninsula and Clarenville, Bonavista Peninsula rather, and Clarenville, but we will still see some gusty winds and some snowy conditions through central. So again, your Monday morning isn't going to be very nice with reduced visibilities in blowing snow through the day. Eventually that will taper off to flurries on Monday evening, but this is also when we will see the transition back to snow later on and into early Tuesday for the east. So temperatures with this one, it is going to be a very wet snow. Temperatures hovering around the 0 degree mark, maybe even a degree above. So what does fall will be very wet, very different from the snow that we've been seeing. That fluffy snow, because it's been fairly cold, but temperatures are definitely, on the warmer side for this system. For Labrador, again, you're hanging on to your temperatures in the minus teens, the potential for some flurries late day for Happy Valley Goose Bay, and then again some snow towards the Strait. Temperatures hovering pretty much around the 1 degree mark right through Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll see that drop in temperatures, but Tuesday, for the Avalon, we may see about 20 to 30 centimeters of snow, so you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on the forecast if you have any travel plans. By Wednesday, just some flurries, and then, or taper to flurries, I should say. For central Newfoundland, windy conditions Monday, Tuesday. Same thing for western Newfoundland, really. We'll see some sunshine by the time we get into Wednesday evening. Wednesday afternoon. And then for Labrador, you're looking at temperatures warming up as we get into next week, and then the flurries returning for your Wednesday. Now, it is Groundhog Day. Not here, we don't have any groundhogs, but this is Groundhog Jack.
Oh, cute.
He gave St. Mark's in Kings Cove a little bit of an unexpected visit today, and fortunately, he did not see his shadow. So hopefully spring is right around the corner.
Oh, that's nice. And if you're wondering about how the other groundhogs did today on this Groundhog Day, apparently Puxatawny Phil, Wyerton Willie, Shubenacadie, Sam, they all agreed that it's going to be an early spring. The only dissenter is Lucy the Lobster in Nova Scotia. So
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
I think we can pretty much guarantee it's not going to be an early spring, but that's fine.
I like the sound of it though. All right, well, that's it for us. Have a great weekend.
Good night.